Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Fix, and we are back with another epic What If Naruto fanfic. Which is, what if Hinata's love turned into rage and she poisoned Naruto herself? If you love Naruto fanfics, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the journey with me. So, let's start the fanfic. The sun over Konoha was as golden as ever, bright, peaceful, and warm. But inside one gentle soul, a storm was quietly forming. Hinata Hyuga stood on the balcony of her home, her pale lavender eyes gazing down at the streets where laughter echoed. Children played, shinobi walked by, and in the distance, she could hear the faint sound of Naruto Uzumaki's laughter, the voice she once found her world in. But now, that same voice burned her heart. It had been months since Naruto became Hokage. The boy who once fought for acknowledgement now had the entire village praising him. People bowed, cheered, respected, even feared him. But in all that glory, the warmth he once gave Hinata had started to fade. Naruto barely came home anymore. He spent long nights in his office, sometimes training Boruto, sometimes attending political meetings, and sometimes not saying where he went at all. Hinata tried to understand. She always had. But this time, something felt different. The beginning of doubt. It started with rumors, whispers among the village women, soft, poisonous words carried on the wind. Did you see Naruto-sama yesterday? He was walking with Sakura-san again. They say she visits his office almost every night. Poor Hinata, she must be used to being left behind. At first, Hinata refused to believe it. She smiled softly, denying it even to herself. No, Naruto-kun would never. But then, one evening, when she went to deliver dinner to him, she saw it with her own eyes. Naruto and Sakura, sitting close in his office, sharing quiet laughter. Sakura's hand brushed his arm, and Naruto didn't move away. He didn't even notice Hinata standing there at the door, her heart shattering silently. She turned away before either could see her tears. The tray of food fell from her hands, soup splashing across the floor, forgotten. The breaking point. Days turned into weeks. Naruto returned home less and less. Boruto began spending time with Sasuke, Sarada, and Mitsuki, leaving Hinata alone in the silent home she had once dreamed of filling with laughter. She waited at the dinner table every night, the food growing cold. She forced a smile when he came home late, his scent unfamiliar, tinged with the faint perfume of cherry blossoms. Her voice began to tremble when she called him Naruto-kun. Her eyes began to dull when he avoided them. And then, one night, the storm broke. Naruto came home late again, cheerful, tired, but warm as always. Hey, Hinata, he said with his trademark grin. Sorry, got caught up in paperwork again. Quote, Hinata stood silently by the kitchen table. Her long hair hid her eyes. You're lying, Naruto-kun. He blinked, caught off guard. Huh, what do you mean? Her voice trembled. You smell like Sakura-san. Quote, the room froze. Naruto's smile faded. Hina, it's not like that. You're overthinking things. But the way he avoided her gaze, the way he sighed, said more than words ever could. Something inside her cracked. All the years of patience, pain, and silent sacrifice, shattered in that instant. She screamed, not in anger, but in heartbreak. Why, Naruto-kun, after everything, after I waited for you, believed in you, loved you more than my own life, why? Quote. Naruto reached out, guilt in his eyes. Hinata, please, listen. But she slapped his hand away. Her tears glistened under the dim light. Don't touch me. For the first time in years, the Hyuga heir's voice shook with rage. You made me believe I was special, that you saw me. But maybe, you only needed me when you were lonely. Naruto's mouth opened, but no words came. The silence between them was colder than any winter night. The poison of love. That night, Hinata didn't sleep. She sat by the window, staring at the moon, the same moon they once watched together. Her mind was a war zone, love clashing against hate, pain twisting into anger, anger bleeding into despair. She went into the kitchen quietly. Her hands moved without thought, opening drawers, mixing herbs, pouring powders. Years of medical training under Sakura and Ino came flooding back. She knew how to heal. And she knew how to kill. In a small vial, she mixed a clear, colorless liquid, a rare Hyuga toxin. It was painless at first, slow, silent. It would make the heart stop beating after a few hours, leaving no trace. Her hands trembled as she held the vial. Tears dripped into the mixture, rippling the surface. "This isn't hate," she whispered. "It's love that's dying." The dinner. The next evening, Hinata cooked Naruto's favorite meal, miso ramen with extra pork and vegetables, just the way he liked it. When Naruto walked in, the smell hit him, warm and familiar. "Wow, Hinata, this smells amazing," he said, setting down his Hokage cloak. Hinata smiled softly. Her eyes were red, but her expression gentle. "I wanted to make something special for you, Naruto-kun." He sat, unaware of the darkness beneath that smile. They ate together, for the first time in weeks, laughing softly, almost like old times. Naruto didn't notice the faint bitterness in the broth. He didn't see the pain hidden behind Hinata's gentle gaze. Halfway through the meal, Hinata's hands shook. She almost screamed, "No," but stopped herself. Naruto looked at her curiously. "You okay, Hinata?" Her lips trembled. "I'm fine, Naruto-kun. Just tired." When he finished eating, she stood up and hugged him tightly, so tight that he was taken aback. "I'm sorry for everything," she whispered. "For being weak, for not being enough." Naruto smiled, resting his hand on her head. "Don't say that. You're perfect, Hinata." Her heart broke completely. She wanted to scream, cry, undo it all, but it was too late. The fading light. Hours later, Naruto started feeling dizzy in his office. His vision blurred, his heartbeat slowed. He stood, clutching his chest, confusion flashing across his face. "What's happening to me?" Hinata appeared at the doorway, her eyes shimmering with tears. "Naruto-kun." He fell to his knees. "Hinata, what did you?" She walked toward him slowly, her face pale but calm. "I loved you more than anyone ever could. But you forgot that love, Naruto-kun. You forgot me." Naruto reached out a trembling hand. "I never stopped loving you." Tears streamed down Hinata's cheeks as she held his hand. "I wish that were true." Quote. He collapsed in her arms, the warmth of his body fading slowly. Hinata screamed his name, a sound that tore through the night. The poison that was meant to end his life shattered her own soul. As Naruto's breathing stopped, Hinata clutched him tighter, whispering through sobs. "I didn't want this, I just wanted you to look at me one last time." The aftermath. When dawn broke, Konoha found its Hokage lifeless in his home, his head resting in Hinata's lap. Her hands were covered in tears, not blood. She sat motionless, whispering his name again and again, her mind broken beyond repair. By the time Anbu arrived, Hinata smiled faintly and whispered, "He's just sleeping, my Naruto-kun, will wake up soon." They took her away, a Hyuga, a wife, a mother, lost to madness. But some say that every full moon, if you walk past the old Uzumaki home, you can still hear her voice softly calling. "Dinner's ready, Naruto-kun." The village was silent, not the kind of silence born from peace, but the kind that followed catastrophe. The Hokage Tower's flag fluttered half-mast, black cloth wrapped around its pole. The streets that once echoed with laughter were now filled with whispers and trembling fear. Naruto Uzumaki, 7th Hokage, hero of the 4th Great Ninja War, the man who united the shinobi world, was gone. And the woman accused of his death was Hinata Hyuga, his wife. The morning after, Boruto didn't remember how he got to the Hokage's office that morning. He just remembered the shouting, Konohamaru's trembling voice, Sakura crying, Shikamaru trying to keep order. When he burst into the room, he saw his father lying on a stretcher, pale, still, and peaceful. "Dad." His voice cracked. "Dad, wake up, this isn't funny." Sarada tried to stop him, but he shoved her hand away and ran to Naruto's side, shaking him. "Dad, you promised we'd train today. You said," but the warmth was gone. Shikamaru placed a hand on Boruto's shoulder. "Boruto, he's gone." Boruto froze. Then, Slowly, his eyes turned toward Hinata, sitting in the corner, her hands tied, her face blank. Mom, what happened? His voice was soft, almost pleading. Hinata didn't answer. She just stared at her hands, whispering something too quiet to hear. Sakura knelt beside Boruto, tears streaming down her face. Boruto, I'm so sorry. Don't say sorry. Boruto screamed, his chakra flaring violently. Tell me what happened. The room went silent. Shikamaru hesitated, then finally said it, the words that would burn into Boruto's soul forever. Your father was poisoned, Boruto. And, the evidence points to your mother. The sun's wrath. Boruto's body went numb. The world tilted. He stared at Shikamaru, then at Hinata, the woman who once smiled every morning, who cooked his meals, who kissed his forehead before every mission. You're lying, he said weakly. Mom would never. But Hinata lifted her eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered. I did it. Boruto's heart stopped. He stumbled backward, clutching his chest. No, you didn't, you can't. I killed him, Hinata said, her voice hollow. I gave him the poison with my own hands. Why? Boruto shouted, tears streaming down his face. He loved you. He loved all of us. Quote, Hinata's lips trembled. He forgot that love, Boruto. He forgot me. I just wanted him to look at me again. Her words were fragile, broken, but they struck Boruto like blades. Sarada tried to reach for him, but Boruto's chakra exploded in a violent flash. Lightning crackled around his hands as tears blurred his vision. You took everything from me. He screamed. I'll never forgive you. He ran out before anyone could stop him, leaving behind the woman who once gave him everything. The trial of Hinata Hyuga. The council chamber was heavy with tension. Every clan leader was present, Hiashi Hyuga, Tsunade, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and even Gaara from the sand. Hinata stood at the center, wearing white robes. Her hair was unkempt, her face pale, but her eyes, those gentle Byakugan eyes, were strangely calm. Hiashi stood beside her, trembling. My daughter would never do such a thing, he said, his voice breaking. She was manipulated, But Shikamaru shook his head. The toxin was unique to the Hyuga compound. There's no doubt. She made it herself. Gasps echoed across the room. Tsunade slammed her hand on the table. This is madness. Hinata was one of the kindest people I ever knew. What could drive her to this? Hinata spoke softly. Love. Everyone turned to her. I loved him more than my life, she said, her voice trembling. But he stopped seeing me. I thought, if I couldn't have his love, I'd rather end our pain together. Hiashi fell to his knees. Hinata, what have you done? Tsunade covered her mouth, tears forming. Shikamaru exhaled deeply. As acting advisor, the council will decide her punishment. Gaara stood up. The village must heal. But taking her life won't bring Naruto back. Tsunade nodded. Exile her. Strip her of her Hyuga status. Let her live with her guilt. The council agreed. When Hinata was led away, she turned one last time toward the Hokage monument, where Naruto's face smiled eternally in stone. Her whisper was carried away by the wind. I'll see you soon, Naruto-kun. The shadow of revenge. Weeks passed. Naruto's funeral drew thousands from every nation. Sasuke stood beside the grave silently. Sakura wept. Kakashi gave the eulogy with a voice that cracked. Boruto didn't cry. He stood at the back, fists clenched, eyes burning with hatred. Mitsuki placed a hand on his shoulder. She's still your mother. Quote. Boruto's voice was cold. Not anymore. He swore then and there, he would make her feel the same pain she gave him. Exile. Hinata was sent far beyond Konoha's borders, a small abandoned cabin deep in the mountains. She was forbidden from using chakra, watched by Anbu from afar, and stripped of her clan seal. She spent her days in silence, speaking only to the wind. Sometimes, she imagined Naruto sitting beside her, smiling like he used to. Do you forgive me? She whispered one night, staring at the stars. The wind was silent. The son who walked the dark path. Months later, rumors began to spread, of a shinobi traveling through villages, defeating rogue ninja with terrifying power. His name was whispered with fear, not as the son of the Hokage, but as the storm of vengeance. Boruto Uzumaki. He no longer wore his father's headband. His jacket bore a scar where the Uzumaki symbol once was. Each time he fought, his lightning burned brighter, fueled not by justice, but by hate. Sasuke followed him once, watching from the shadows. When the fight ended, Boruto stood over a fallen enemy and muttered, "Weak, just like her." Quote, Sasuke stepped out. "Boruto, this path will destroy you." Boruto's eyes glowed blue with fury. "You don't understand. She destroyed everything first. You think revenge will heal you?" Sasuke said softly. "It won't. I know." But Boruto walked past him, whispering, "Then let it destroy me." The letter. One winter morning, an Anbu messenger arrived in Konoha. He carried a sealed letter addressed to Boruto Uzumaki. It was from Hinata. "Greater than my dear Boruto. If this reaches you, I am probably gone. I never wanted you to hate me. But perhaps I deserve it. I killed your father, but I also killed myself that night. Every heartbeat since then has been punishment. Please don't let hatred take what's left of your soul. You carry his light. Don't let it fade like mine did. Mom." Boruto read the letter silently. His hands trembled, and for the first time since Naruto's death, tears fell freely. But when he looked up, a messenger bird landed on his arm, carrying urgent news. Hinata Hyuga was dead. She had taken her own life in exile. Boruto dropped to his knees, clutching the letter against his chest, crying out into the cold sky. "Why did you leave me alone?" The final goodbye. Days later, Boruto visited her grave, a small mound beneath a blooming sakura tree. He placed 2 ramen bowls beside it, one for Naruto, one for her. "I hated you for so long," he said softly. "But I think I understand now." The wind blew gently, carrying the faint scent of spring. "You were broken, and so was he. You both loved too much." He closed his eyes, whispering, "I'll live for both of you now. I'll protect this village, not as the Hokage's son, but as Boruto Uzumaki." As he turned to leave, the wind rustled the leaves, and for a moment, he could almost hear 2 familiar voices laughing together again. The rain hadn't stopped for days. Thunder rolled across the skies of Konoha, and the village seemed to mourn endlessly. Every drop that fell on the Hokage monument felt like a tear from heaven. Inside the Hokage's abandoned office, Shikamaru sat in silence. The documents were still on Naruto's desk, half-stamped missions, open letters, unsealed scrolls. He hadn't had the heart to move them. But something had been bothering him ever since the autopsy. The poison that killed Naruto, it was indeed Hyuga-made, yes. But there was something off about it. The residue, the chakra pattern, it didn't match the typical Hyuga toxin's kill time. It was slower, less potent, and oddly, inconsistent. Almost as if it had been altered. He had run the tests twice, then 3 times. The results were the same. Something, or someone, had tampered with it. And that meant Hinata might not have acted alone. A shadow in the mist. In the far outskirts of Konoha, hidden among the misty woods, 2 Anbu operatives stood watch over Hinata's exile hut. "Nothing to report," one said. "She just sits there all day." The other nodded. "Can you imagine, killing the Hokage, your own husband? She's lucky we didn't execute her." But as they spoke, a faint movement caught their eyes, a flicker of chakra behind the trees. They turned instantly, weapons drawn, but saw nothing. Just silence. The next morning, when the relief team arrived, both guards were gone. Only their masks were found, placed neatly on the ground. And inside the hut, Hinata was missing. The nightmare returns. Boruto had been away on a mission with Mitsuki and Sarada when the message reached him. He read it twice to make sure he wasn't imagining it. Greater than Hinata Hyuga, missing from exile. Location unknown. His breath caught. Missing. Sarada frowned. "But I thought she was under constant watch," Mitsuki said calmly. "Whoever took her, must have been skilled." Boruto's hands shook with rage. "I swear, if she's running away." Sarada grabbed his wrist. "Boruto, she's your mother. He pulled away, his voice sharp. She stopped being my mother the day she poisoned him. Sarada flinched at the venom in his tone. But she also saw the pain hidden beneath it. Mitsuki looked toward the horizon. Maybe she didn't run. Maybe someone doesn't want the truth to come out. The investigation. Back in Konoha, Shikamaru called a secret council meeting. Present were Sakura, Kakashi, Sai, and Tsunade. He placed the autopsy report on the table. I think there's something we missed. Sakura leaned forward. What do you mean? The poison wasn't pure Hyuga formula, Shikamaru explained. It had traces of another chemical compound, one used by the old Root division. Sai froze. Root, yes. A nerve toxin developed under Danzo's time, designed to mimic Hyuga toxins. Only a handful of people ever had access to it. Quote, Kakashi frowned. You're saying someone might have planted the evidence. Shikamaru nodded slowly. It's possible Hinata didn't know the poison was altered. Or maybe she was manipulated into using it. Quote, Sakura's eyes widened. Manipulated? By who? Before anyone could answer, an Anbu burst through the door. Shikamaru-sama, we found something at the exile site. The message. The council rushed to the scene, a remote mountain hut, surrounded by mist and silence. The door was shattered. The floor had signs of struggle. And on the wall, carved with a kunai, were 4 chilling words. Greater than, truth lies in root. Sakura's blood ran cold. ROOT, again. Shikamaru stared at the words, his mind racing. Whoever did this knew we'd come. They're leading us somewhere. Sai clenched his fists. I'll go. If it's root, it's my responsibility. Kakashi nodded. Take Boruto with you. He deserves to know. The descent into darkness. The old root facility lay deep underground, beneath the ruins of Konoha's old training district. It had been sealed for years, or so everyone thought. Boruto, Sai, and Sarada descended into the tunnels, guided by flickering lights. The air was thick, heavy, and cold. This place gives me the creeps, Sarada whispered. Boruto stayed silent, lightning chakra faintly sparking in his hand. As they moved deeper, they found broken tanks, scattered files, and old experiment logs. Sai wiped dust off one label. Greater than Project Echo, emotional toxin testing, subject HH. Boruto froze. HH, Hinata Hyuga. Sai's face darkened. This was one of Danzo's hidden projects. They studied how emotional trauma could amplify or suppress chakra-based poisons. Quote, Sarada's voice trembled. You mean, someone might have planted that toxin in Hinata's possession to trigger when she was emotionally unstable? Sai nodded. Or worse, someone made her emotionally unstable on purpose. Quote, Boruto's jaw tightened. You're saying, she was controlled. Sai handed him a torn paper. These markings, they're seal scripts. Mental manipulation seals. Designed to influence thought through emotion. Quote, Boruto's hand shook as he read the last note written in Danzo's handwriting. Greater than, emotional love is the strongest trigger. When devotion turns to rage, loyalty becomes lethal. Hinata's nightmare. Far away, Hinata stumbled through the forest, her body weak and her mind fractured. Voices echoed in her head, Naruto's voice, soft, loving, but twisted. You're not enough, Hinata. She's better than you. Quote, you're weak. She fell to her knees, clutching her head, screaming. Stop it. Please stop. A shadowy figure stepped out from the trees, cloaked, masked, his voice calm and cold. Don't fight it, Hyuga. You fulfilled your purpose. Hinata's eyes widened. Who are you? The figure smiled behind his mask. A remnant of Danzo's dream. You were the perfect vessel for his final experiment, love turned to death. Quote, she gasped. You made me kill him. The figure raised a hand, showing a glowing seal on his palm. You were guided, conditioned. Your emotions were our weapon. Hinata screamed, Byakugan activating in pure rage. You used me. You made me kill the man I loved. But before she could strike, he vanished into smoke. His voice lingered behind. Seek revenge if you wish, Hyuga. But you'll never undo what's done. The reunion. When Boruto finally tracked her down, Guided by Mitsuki's sensory skills, he found her standing at the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley. Her long hair blew in the wind. Her white eyes reflected only sorrow. "Boruto," she whispered as he approached. Boruto's voice was cold. "They said you were dead." "I should be," she said softly. "But I'm not that lucky." He clenched his fists. "Why did you do it, Mom? Why?" Hinata looked at him with tears that never fell. "Because I wasn't myself. Because I was weak enough to be used." Boruto frowned. "Used?" She turned toward him, revealing the faint seal glowing on her neck, a black spiral mark. "This seal, it manipulated my emotions. Every time I felt love, it fed on it. And when that love turned to pain, it took over." Boruto's eyes widened. "Who did this?" "I don't know his name," she whispered. "But he said he was Danzo's last creation." Boruto's lightning flared violently. "Then I'll find him." Hinata shook her head. "No, Boruto, don't follow this path. It will destroy you." He looked away. "You destroyed me already." Her lips trembled. "Then let me fix it." Before he could react, she pressed her palm to his chest, a surge of chakra glowing between them. "Take my chakra," she whispered. "My strength, my love, everything I have left." Boruto tried to pull away. "Mom, don't." But it was too late. The light engulfed them both. When it faded, Hinata collapsed, lifeless. Boruto caught her in his arms, her face peaceful, her expression soft, like she was finally free. He sobbed, holding her close. "Why did you do this again? Why do you always leave me?" The truth revealed. Back in Konoha, Sai analyzed the seal Hinata left behind. "This confirms it," he said to Shikamaru. "She was under mental manipulation. She didn't act of her own will." Shikamaru closed his eyes, whispering, "Naruto would never have blamed her." They buried Hinata beside Naruto under the blooming tree behind the Hokage monument. Boruto stood there silently, his father's headband in one hand, his mother's necklace in the other. "I'll find the one who did this," he vowed. "And when I do, I'll end this curse for good." A shadow watching. Far in the distance, hidden within the mist, the masked man from Route watched the burial. His voice was a whisper carried by the wind. "Project Echo has succeeded. The blood of Uzumaki and Hyuga, combined in rage, will awaken the next evolution of chakra." Quote. His single red eye gleamed beneath the mask. "Boruto Uzumaki, you'll finish what we started." The rain had stopped. The world outside was calm again, too calm, as if it were mocking the pain left behind. Boruto sat beneath the sakura tree where his mother now rested beside his father. The petals fell gently over her grave, turning white stones pink, a cruel beauty that made his chest ache. He had been sitting there for hours, staring at the two names carved in stone. Naruto Uzumaki, the hero who saved the world. Hinata Hyuga, the woman who loved him beyond death. He traced the letters with trembling fingers, his eyes red from crying. "How could you both leave me?" he whispered, his voice cracking. "You always said love was strength, but all it did was destroy you." The wind carried the faint scent of ramen, or maybe it was just a memory. He closed his eyes and saw them. Naruto laughing, Hinata smiling shyly beside him. A perfect picture, now gone forever. A son without a home. After Hinata's funeral, the Hyuga clan house felt like a ghostly ruin. Hiyashi sat in silence in the main hall, holding the small Hyuga crest that once belonged to his daughter. His stern eyes, once filled with pride and discipline, were now hollow. "Two of my blood, taken by sorrow," he murmured. "And I could not protect either." Boruto entered quietly, bowing slightly. "Grandfather." Hiyashi looked up, surprised. "Boruto, I didn't expect." "I came to apologize," Boruto said, his voice low. "For blaming her, for hating her." Hiyashi shook his head. "No, you had every right to. None of us understood what she was going through. We all failed her." He stood, walking slowly toward Naruto and Hinata's photo on the wall. She carried pain so silently that even a Byakugan could not see it. Boruto's eyes filled again. "She said she did it out of love. I couldn't understand it before, but now I do. She didn't want to kill Dad. She just didn't want to be invisible anymore." Hiashi placed a hand on Boruto's shoulder, trembling, yet gentle. You have their hearts, Boruto. But you must not inherit their pain. Promise me you won't. Boruto nodded weakly. I'll try. The empty house. That night, Boruto returned to the Uzumaki home for the first time since everything happened. The house was cold, untouched, every room still holding pieces of the past. The kitchen smelled faintly of miso. On the table, there were 2 empty bowls still set from their last meal together. One had Naruto's favorite chopsticks beside it. The other, Hinata's delicate pear, still resting perfectly aligned. He ran his hand across the wood and felt something carved underneath the table, small, rough letters, almost hidden. Greater than B plus H equals forever. He froze. It was clumsy, like something Hinata might have done in secret, shyly smiling to herself afterward. He sank to the floor, pressing his forehead against the carving, and wept, silently, brokenly. The village mourns. Konoha had changed. People still worked, missions still went out, children still trained, but the spark that Naruto brought to every heart was gone. Even the Hokage monument seemed duller, as if the stone itself had lost its light. Sakura visited the grave daily, leaving fresh flowers. Sometimes she spoke softly to Hinata, her voice cracking. I should have noticed. I should have seen how much she was breaking inside, she said one evening. I told her to rest, to talk to Naruto. But she just smiled and said she was fine. She was never fine. Ino stood beside her, eyes red. We all thought their love was unbreakable. But even the strongest hearts bleed quietly. Quote, Shikamaru came later, carrying a bouquet of white lilies. He looked at the graves for a long time before whispering. Troublesome woman, you really went and did the one thing none of us could predict. Quote, then he turned to Naruto's stone and added quietly. Even in death, you're still giving us lessons about pain. Boruto's solitude. Days turned into weeks. Boruto stopped talking to most people. He refused new missions, spending his time either training in silence or visiting the graves. Sarada came often, sitting beside him without speaking. She knew words couldn't reach him right now. One evening, she placed a small bouquet between the 2 graves, crimson flowers, representing eternal love. You know, she said softly, your parents' story, it's not just tragedy. It's proof of how deep love can go. Boruto didn't look up. Deep enough to kill. Sarada hesitated. Deep enough to break, but also deep enough to never truly die. Quote, he finally turned to her, his expression weary. I keep thinking, what if I had noticed something was wrong with her? What if I had gone home that night? Would she still be alive? Sarada shook her head gently. You can't keep blaming yourself for the choices of others. He gave a hollow laugh. That's the problem, Sarada. I can't stop blaming myself, or forgiving her. I'm stuck between both. A mother's voice. That night, Boruto dreamed, but it felt too real. He stood in a vast field bathed in moonlight. The air was soft, the scent of lavender and ramen mixing strangely. And then he heard it, her voice. Boruto. He turned, and there she was, Hinata, glowing softly, her smile gentle and pure. Mom, he whispered, his voice trembling. She walked closer, touching his cheek. Her hand was warm, almost real. You have his eyes now, she said softly. The same light I fell in love with. He grabbed her hand. I'm sorry, I hated you. I didn't know. Hinata shook her head. Don't be sorry. You had to hate me, Boruto. It's the only way you could survive the pain. Quote, tears streamed down his face. Why did you do it? Why didn't you just tell us? She looked up at the stars. Because love makes fools of us all. I thought I was protecting something, but I was destroying it. Quote, he sobbed quietly, holding her hand. I miss you, both of you. She smiled faintly. We're never far. You carry both of us inside you, the storm and the calm. The moonlight brightened, her body fading slowly into light. Live, Boruto. Don't let our story be the end of yours. He reached out desperately. Mom, don't go. Her voice echoed faintly. I'll always be with you. The promise. Boruto woke up with tears still on his face. He looked at the sunrise through the window, the light spilling over the Hokage monument. He rose, wearing Naruto's old cloak for the first time. It was too big for him, but somehow it felt right. He tied the headband around his arm and looked into the mirror. For a moment, his reflection looked just like his father, but with Hinata's eyes. He whispered to himself, "I'll live for you both. Not as your son, but as who I am." Then he stepped outside into the morning light, where the villagers began the day, unaware that Konoha's next great protector as walking among them, carrying the pain of love, loss, and redemption in his heart. Epilogue of Part 2. Later that week, Shikamaru placed 2 framed photos in the Hokage office. Naruto, smiling with that wide, goofy grin. Hinata, shy and radiant, her eyes soft with love. He sighed. "You two, your story will never fade." As the sun set over Konoha, the light hit the frames just right, making it look as though the two were smiling at each other again. And for the first time in a long while, the wind that blew through the office didn't feel lonely anymore. The morning sun touched the village rooftops, painting them gold. Konoha looked peaceful, but inside Boruto's chest the storm hadn't settled. Every smile he saw in the street felt unreal, every laugh like a distant echo of something he'd lost. Children were running through the alleys, playing ninja tag. One of them tripped, and the others laughed and helped him up. That small act twisted Boruto's heart. He remembered how his father used to kneel beside him after training, ruffle his hair, and say, "Greater than, falling isn't failure, Boruto. Staying down is." Now those words cut deeper than any blade. He walked past Ichiraku Ramen. The scent made him stop. Tsuki still stood there, older, slower, but when he saw Boruto, his eyes softened. "Boruto-kun, it's been a while," he said gently. Boruto forced a nod. "Yeah, I just wanted to look." Tsuki wiped his hands on his apron. "Your father used to sit right there, every night, bragging about you and Himawari. Your mother would just blush and smile." Boruto's eyes burned. "I know." Tsuki hesitated, then brought out an old bowl from the shelf, cracked but polished clean. "Your mother left this here one night. She said she'd come back to pick it up. Guess, she never did." Quote. Boruto reached out and touched it. The warmth of memory hit him, laughter, family dinners, late-night talks about dreams. Now all of it existed only in this bowl, in scents, in echoes. "I'll keep it safe," Boruto said softly. Letters never sent. Back at home, Boruto went through his parents' old room for the first time. He half expected the air to feel heavy, but instead it smelled faintly of lavender, her favorite. On the small writing desk, he found a drawer locked. With trembling hands, he used a kunai to break it open. Inside were letters, dozens, maybe more. Each folded neatly, none addressed. He opened one. "Greater than, Naruto-kun, sometimes I feel like I'm fading. You're so bright, so loved, and I don't know where I belong in that light. Quote, I wish I could tell you this, but I'm afraid you'll see me as weak. I'm supposed to be strong, for you, for the kids. But my heart keeps whispering things I can't silence." Boruto's eyes blurred. He picked up another. "Greater than, Boruto is growing fast. He has your stubbornness. I love him so much, but I fear he hates me already. Maybe he sees what I hide, that sometimes I envy how much of you he has." And another. "Greater than, if one day I hurt you, please know, I only ever meant to protect what we built." Boruto dropped the letters. His breath shook violently. She hadn't been angry. She'd been drowning, quietly, invisibly. Every, "I'm fine," she had ever said was a silent cry he hadn't heard. He pressed the letters to his chest, whispering, "Mom, why didn't you let anyone in?" Himawari's tears. That evening, Himawari returned from the Hyuga compound. She was older now, her eyes less innocent, but still filled with quiet strength. She saw the scattered letters and froze. "You found them," she said softly. Boruto turned. "You knew." She nodded slowly. "I found her writing at night sometimes. I thought it was just her diary. I didn't want to invade her space." She knelt, picking up one letter and reading it silently. When she finished, tears slipped down her cheeks. She was so alone, she whispered. And we were right there. Boruto's jaw tightened. She didn't want to burden us. That's what hurts most. They sat together in silence. Outside, the wind brushed against the windows, like her voice whispering through the walls. Then Himawari said, almost to herself, "Do you think she hated herself for what she did?" Boruto shook his head. No, she hated the pain that made her do it. The hidden scroll. Late at night, Boruto searched again through the drawer. Beneath the last set of letters, he found something small, a scroll sealed with Naruto's Hokage emblem. He hesitated before breaking it open. Inside was a short message, written in his father's familiar, messy handwriting. Greater than, to whoever finds this, maybe Hinata, maybe our children. If you're reading this, it means something went wrong. If Hinata ever loses herself, don't blame her. She's carried my burdens, my loneliness, and my past far longer than anyone should. She saved me once when I couldn't save myself. So if it's my turn to fall, forgive her. Because love isn't always gentle. Sometimes it burns so bright it leaves scars. Boruto's hands trembled. He reread it again and again until the ink blurred with his tears. Naruto had known. He had sensed the breaking point, maybe even accepted it. "Dad," Boruto whispered, "you knew and still loved her." He looked toward the night sky, where the stars shimmered faintly. "Then I'll do the same. I'll forgive her, completely." The memorial. The next day, Boruto visited the graves again, this time carrying two things. The cracked ramen bowl and the hidden scroll. He placed them both between the stones, bowing deeply. "I found what you left behind," he said quietly. "You both were hurting, but you still tried to protect each other till the end." The wind stirred the sakura petals. He smiled faintly, tears glimmering in his eyes. "You weren't just heroes. You were human. And that's okay." A single petal landed on his palm. He closed his fist gently around it and whispered, "I forgive you." Echoes in the wind. As he turned to leave, a breeze swept through the graveyard, soft, almost musical. And then, faintly, he heard it, two voices overlapping, like wind through leaves. "Greater than, thank you, Boruto." He froze. His heart leapt. He turned back, but no one was there, only the petals drifting through the air. Still, he smiled, because for the first time in months, the pain didn't crush him. It lived inside him quietly, like a scar that would never fully heal, but no longer bled. He whispered into the wind, "I'll make you both proud, I promise." The next few days passed like shadows. The sun rose, the wind blew, but for Boruto, time had lost meaning. He spent his mornings at the memorial and his nights in the training grounds, not to fight, but to think. Every kunai he threw was not meant for an enemy, but for the ghosts inside him. The once bright blue of his eyes now carried a softness, not weakness, but depth. Pain had carved wisdom where pride once lived. The old training ground. One afternoon, Boruto found himself standing in the same training ground where his father once sparred with Kakashi and Sasuke. The trees bore scars of old jutsu. The ground still felt charged with chakra memories. He closed his eyes, imagining Naruto's laugh echoing across the field. "Come on, believe it," the voice of a man who never gave up. Boruto smiled faintly. "You really never stopped believing, huh?" He sat on the grass and pulled out the small cracked bowl he carried everywhere now. It had become his talisman, a symbol of the home that used to be. As the wind blew, he thought of Hinata again. Her gentle hands patching his wounds after every reckless mission, her soft scoldings, her shy smiles when Naruto would praise her cooking. Now those moments replayed like distant dreams. Every memory cut him, but he held on to them anyway, because letting go felt like losing her all over again. A visit from Sarada. That evening, Sarada appeared quietly, her Sharingan deactivated, her eyes filled with concern. "I thought I'd find you here," she said softly. "You haven't been home for days." Boruto looked away. Home doesn't exist anymore. She sat beside him in silence. For a while, neither spoke. The sky turned from gold to violet, the crickets beginning their song. "You know," Sarada finally said, When I lost my dad for a while, I thought the world had ended too. But I realized something. Boruto tilted his head slightly. Love doesn't die when people do, she whispered. It just changes shape. Sometimes it becomes guilt, sometimes strength, but it never really leaves. Boruto looked at her, the corners of his eyes wet. Then why does it still hurt this much? She smiled sadly. Because you loved him the right way. He stared at the cracked ramen bowl beside him. I don't know how to move forward. Sarada placed a hand on his. You don't need to yet. Just, don't stop walking. Quote, the words lingered in the evening air, gentle, human, real. A hidden voice recording. Later that night, Boruto went through his father's old study again. While cleaning the desk, he noticed a small voice recorder half buried under scrolls. He pressed play. A soft beep, then a familiar, tired voice filled the silence. Greater than, hey, Boruto. If you're hearing this, I guess I'm not around anymore. I was going to record something cooler, maybe a big heroic speech, but honestly, I just want to say I'm proud of you. Quote, you remind me of myself when I was your age, reckless, loud, impossible to control. But you have something I didn't, a family that loves you more than anything. If you ever lose that, promise me you won't close your heart. Quote, Boruto's breath hitched. He could hear Naruto laugh softly in the recording. Greater than, and if your mom ever does something you can't understand, remember, she loved too much. That's not weakness. That's her strength. Quote, you're our legacy, Boruto. Our light. Don't let our mistakes become your chains. The recorder clicked off. Boruto sat there for a long time, staring at it in silence. His chest felt heavy, but there was something else, something faintly warm beneath the grief. He whispered, Dad, I won't. Himawari's dream. That night, Himawari woke up crying. Boruto rushed into her room, alarmed. What happened? She wiped her tears. I saw Mom, in my dream. Boruto's heart froze. What did she say? She was standing in a field of lavender, Himawari said softly. She looked peaceful, and she said, tell Boruto not to carry our ghosts. Let him live free. Boruto felt something shift inside him, not peace, not yet, but a release. It was as if his mother herself had forgiven him for holding on too tightly. He sat beside Himawari, brushing her hair gently. She's watching us, you know. Himawari nodded. I know. I felt her warmth. Quote, Boruto smiled faintly. Then maybe, she's finally free. The storm breaks. Days turned into nights again. The pain was still there, but its edge had softened. Boruto visited the Hokage monument often. He'd stand at the top, looking over the village, and speak softly to the sky. You gave everything to protect this place, he would say. And now I understand why. One evening, as he stood there under a blood-red sunset, a small scroll appeared in his mailbox, unmarked, sealed in wax. He opened it. Greater than, Uzumaki Boruto, meet me at the old Hyuga shrine at midnight. There are things about your mother's death you still don't know. Boruto's eyes widened. The words sent a chill through his spine. He looked up at the darkening sky, heart pounding. For weeks he had been grieving, but now, curiosity, and something darker, began to stir again. More secrets, he muttered. Even now, he clenched his fist around the scroll, feeling the weight of his parents' love and lies pressing on his chest. The tragedy wasn't over. It had only just begun to reveal its last, painful layer. Boruto couldn't sleep that night. The moon hung low over Konoha, pale and distant, like a witness to all the pain he had endured. He sat by the window of his old bedroom, holding the wax-sealed scroll he had received. The words burned in his mind. Greater than, Uzumaki Boruto, meet me at the old Hyuga shrine at midnight. There are things about your mother's death you still don't know. Quote, he clenched his fists, his nails biting into his palms. More secrets, he muttered. Why does this grief never end? The wind whispered through the broken screens of the window, carrying with it faint cherry blossom petals. Boruto imagined them as Hinata's gentle hands reaching toward him, trying to soothe the storm inside. The Shrine of Memories. At midnight, Boruto arrived at the old Hyuga shrine, abandoned long ago and hidden within the forest. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of moss and earth. Every step he took seemed to echo, a reminder of the silence left by the people he had lost. The shrine doors were open, swaying lightly in the wind. Inside, faint candlelight flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls. At the center, an old Hyuga attendant stood waiting. His face was lined with age, his eyes tired yet sharp. "You've come," the old man said softly. "Boruto Uzumaki, you must know, what you think you know about your mother is only part of the truth." Boruto's lips trembled. "Tell me, please, tell me everything." The old man nodded and led him deeper into the shrine, where a small chest lay hidden beneath the floorboards. "Your mother," he began, "was never acting alone. She was manipulated, but not by mere words. By someone who knew her heart, her love for your father, and her fear of losing you and Himawari. The poison, it was designed to activate only under extreme emotional stress. She was a puppet, her strings pulled by someone cruel and patient." Boruto's chest tightened. "So, she wasn't. Hinata Hyuga loved your father with all her soul," the old man said firmly. "She never wanted him dead. But the moment she believed she had no other choice, the poison consumed him. She blamed herself, and rightly so. But the truth is more tragic than even her guilt." Boruto sank to his knees, tears flowing freely. "All this time, I thought she hated him. I hated her. And she was a victim." The old man placed a hand on Boruto's shoulder. "And yet, you still loved her, even if you didn't know it at first. That love will guide you, as long as you let it." Quote, The letters left behind. Boruto's eyes fell on the chest. Inside were papers, more letters, not from Hinata this time, but from a figure he didn't recognize. The first read, "Greater than, subject to HH, emotional vulnerabilities recorded. Emotional love amplified. Target, Naruto Uzumaki. If she breaks, the chain will be complete. Do not interfere." Boruto's hands shook. This is what controlled her." "Yes," said the old man. "It was a cruel experiment, one that sought to turn love into weaponry. Your mother resisted as long as she could, but in the end, the pressure broke her. And your father was collateral damage." Boruto's knees gave out. He pressed his face into the ground. "She suffered, and I hated her, all this time." Quote, the old man didn't speak. He let Boruto weep, knowing words could not mend a heart shattered by betrayal, grief, and misunderstanding. The weight of forgiveness. Hours passed. The wind died down. Boruto sat amidst the letters and scrolls, his body exhausted but his mind awakening to the depth of the tragedy. For the first time, he understood, Hinata's actions were never born of malice. They were the culmination of fear, love, and manipulation. Boruto clutched a letter to his chest. Tears rolled silently. "I forgive you," he whispered. "I forgive you, Mom. I forgive you, for everything." The shrine felt warmer somehow, as though Hinata herself had heard him. The faint scent of lavender lingered in the air, mingling with cherry blossoms. Boruto rose slowly, wiping his tears. His fists were still clenched, but the tightness in his chest had lessened, slightly. He stepped outside, the dawn creeping over the forest. The first rays of sunlight reflected off the petals scattered on the shrine floor. "I won't forget," Boruto said aloud. "But I will carry their love, not their pain." Quote, A silent promise. Returning to Konoha, Boruto visited the graves once more. This time, he carried the letters from the shrine and placed them between Naruto and Hinata's memorial stones. He knelt, speaking softly. "I understand now. You both tried to protect me in the only ways you could. You left me love, even when your hearts were breaking. I will live with that love, and I will honor it every day." The wind rustled the petals around him, carrying with it a faint echo of two voices, soft and familiar. "Greater than, we're proud of you, Boruto." Boruto pressed his hands together, closing his eyes. "I won't fail you." Even in sorrow, a fragile light had begun to bloom inside him, not enough to erase the grief, but enough to let it guide him forward. The shadows remain. Yet, as the sun set, Boruto sensed something lingering in the air, a whisper of unfinished truths, the weight of secrets yet to be revealed. The scroll from the shrine, still clutched in his hand, hinted at a story beyond grief, a story that would continue to shape him, test his heart, and challenge the love and pain that had defined his family. Boruto's journey through mourning was far from over. The sorrow was not gone, but he had begun to carry it with purpose rather than being crushed by it. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between the wind and the petals, he could almost hear the voices of his parents, urging him to keep moving forward, to let love endure beyond tragedy. Part 2 continues. Boruto's emotional healing is only beginning. The next steps will explore the remaining secrets of Hinata's manipulation, the truth about the poison, and how Boruto begins to carry his parents' legacy without letting grief destroy him. The days bled into each other. Boruto no longer noticed the time passing. He wandered through the streets of Konoha alone, sometimes stopping at places he remembered with his parents. The ramen shop, the training ground, the small park where Hinata had once watched him practice his chakra control. Each place now carried echoes of laughter, whispers, and soft moments that would never return. He carried the letters and scrolls everywhere, as if holding on to their words could somehow fill the void left behind. The weight of silent guilt. Boruto often found himself staring into mirrors, tracing the features he had inherited from both parents. Naruto's stubborn eyes, Hinata's soft expression, a combination that should have been comforting, but only reminded him of loss. "I shouldn't have hated her," he whispered. "She was trying to protect us." Himawari watched quietly from the doorway, her small hands clasped together. She had become a quiet presence, never pushing, but always watching, always sensing. "I miss them too," she whispered. "I don't know how to make it stop hurting." Boruto turned to her, voice tight. "It won't stop. Not really. But maybe we can carry it differently." Himawari nodded slowly. "Carry it differently." "Yes," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not as anger, not as hate. As memory, as love. That's all we have left." A hidden memento. One afternoon, while cleaning the old Uzumaki house, Boruto found a small, dust-covered box tucked behind Naruto's old desk. Inside were items Hinata had kept for him. A tiny ribbon she had tied in his hair when he was 5. A small piece of parchment with a drawing of his family, Naruto, Himawari, and herself, all smiling together. A folded note, nearly hidden. "Greater than, Boruto, if you ever feel lost, remember I loved you even in my darkest moments. Carry me in your heart, not my mistakes." Boruto's breath caught. He pressed the note to his chest and sank to the floor. Tears flowed freely, unrestrained. "I loved you too," he whispered. "I always did, and I didn't understand until it was too late." Echoes of Hinata. That night, Boruto lay awake, haunted by memories. He saw her gentle hands, her soft voice calling his name. He saw Naruto laughing beside her, the two of them holding him and Himawari close. But he also saw the last moments, Hinata's trembling, her eyes wide with fear, the shadowy figure manipulating her emotions. He clenched his fists, trembling. "I should have been there, I should have saved you." And yet, somewhere in the depth of his heart, he felt a faint warmth, like her presence was still with him. Not fully gone, not just a memory, but a whisper. "Greater than, live, Boruto. Live, and don't let grief chain your heart." He closed his eyes and imagined holding her hand one last time. The village notices. The villagers began to notice the change in Boruto. He no longer shouted, no longer raced through missions with reckless energy. Instead, he moved quietly, carrying a weight that none of them fully understood. Even his friends felt it. Sarada's visits were filled with long silences, Mitsuki's calm presence offering support without words. "Boruto," Sarada said one evening, sitting beside him on the Hokage monument, "you don't have to be strong all the time. It's okay to hurt. To remember." Boruto nodded, his gaze distant. "I am hurting. Every day. But if I stop, I lose them completely. So I keep going. For them." Sarada placed a hand over his. "And they would want you to keep going. Not just surviving, but living." He closed his eyes, letting the wind carry the words like a small comfort. The first step toward healing. Boruto returned to the training grounds the next morning. He picked up a kunai, not to strike, but to remember his father's lessons. Every throw, every movement, was a tribute, a way to honor both Hinata and Naruto without being consumed by the tragedy. The cracked ramen bowl rested beside him, a silent reminder of home. The letters from the shrine, now carefully folded, were tucked into his pouch. For the first time in weeks, Boruto allowed himself to smile faintly. Not fully healed, not fully at peace, but a small flicker of something he hadn't felt since that night of loss. He whispered to the wind, "I will carry your love, Mom, Dad. Always." The petals swirled around him as though acknowledging his vow. Even in the deepest sorrow, the light of memory and love persisted, fragile, yet enduring. The wind carried the faint scent of cherry blossoms as Boruto walked through the village. Everything felt alive, yet hollow. The villagers moved on with their lives, unaware of the storms raging in his head. He clutched the letters from the shrine, the cracked ramen bowl tucked under his arm, and the small note from Hinata close to his chest. Every step he took felt weighted with the memories of their laughter, their love, and the unbearable void left behind. A fragment of childhood. He wandered toward the old training grounds where he had spent countless hours with his parents. He paused at the spot where Hinata had once taught him chakra control, her hands steadying his small wrists as she whispered, "Boruto, focus. You can do it." He fell to his knees, pressing his forehead into the ground. "I should have remembered sooner," he whispered. "I should have seen how much you were hurting." A gust of wind stirred the petals around him. He imagined them as Hinata's soft smile, Naruto's reassuring laugh, fragments of a past that felt painfully distant. He picked up a small stone from the ground, smooth and round. For a moment, it felt like holding a piece of Hinata in his hand. He clenched it tightly. "I forgive you," he murmured. "I understand now, it wasn't hate. It was fear. Fear and love. Himawari's innocent wisdom." That evening, Himawari came to sit beside him quietly. She no longer asked questions, she simply offered her presence, a small, comforting anchor in his storm. "I dreamt of Mom again," she whispered softly, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. She was smiling. "She told me, to keep you safe. To let you live your life without carrying too much pain." Boruto's chest tightened. "I don't know how to do that. How do you let go when the pain is this heavy?" Himawari leaned her head against his shoulder. "Maybe we don't let go. Maybe we just carry it differently. Like a warm memory instead of a wound." He closed his eyes and let her words sink in. For the first time in weeks, he allowed himself to breathe without immediately feeling suffocated by grief. The letters speak. That night, Boruto carefully opened another letter from the shrine. "Greater than, Boruto, if you are reading this, it means you have begun to see the truth. Your mother was strong, stronger than most could understand. She made choices out of love, difficult, impossible choices that no one else could bear." He traced the ink with his fingers, letting each word sink into his heart. "Greater than, your father always loved her, even when he didn't understand her struggles. And you carry pieces of both of them. Their love, their mistakes, their hope. Do not let their pain define you. Let it guide you." Boruto pressed the letter to his chest, his body shaking with sobs. I promise I will carry you with me," he whispered. "Not just your mistakes, but your love too." The quiet of the night. Hours passed. Boruto sat by the window, staring at the moon. Its pale light spilled across the village, touching rooftops, trees, and empty streets. He thought of Hinata and Naruto, the quiet moments, their small gestures, the love that had always surrounded him. And he thought of the tragedy that had ripped them away. The sorrow was sharp, but beneath it was something else, a fragile thread of hope. Even in the darkest grief, he could feel them with him. Not fully gone, not just memories. "Greater than, Boruto, live for us," he imagined hearing in the wind. He whispered back, "I will. I'll carry your love, always." The first dawn of acceptance. As the first light of morning crept over Konoha, Boruto finally stood. He no longer clutched the letters in desperation but held them carefully, reverently. The grief had not left him, it never would. But for the first time, he felt a shift. He could carry it without being crushed. He could honor his parents, forgive their mistakes, and still move forward. He placed the cracked ramen bowl and letters carefully at the foot of the memorial again. "I'll keep living," he said softly. "For you both. I'll make you proud, in ways I can't yet imagine." The petals swirled gently in the breeze, as if acknowledging his vow. Boruto looked up at the rising sun. The world was still painful. Still tragic. Still full of loss. But for the first time, it was also full of possibility. The night was heavy, dark, and silent, the kind of night that seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for the world to shatter. Boruto sat alone in the old Uzumaki house, the scrolls and letters from the shrine spread before him. His hands trembled as he reached for another letter, one he had been avoiding, unsure if he could bear the weight of its truth. "Greater than, Boruto, if you are reading this, know that I never intended to hurt your father. I never intended to leave you like this. I only wanted to protect him, you, and Himawari. But sometimes love makes impossible choices." Quote. Boruto's vision blurred. His chest felt tight, suffocating. "Impossible choices," he whispered. "Impossible, and tragic. A memory revealed." He read on. "Greater than, the night I made the decision, I was so afraid. Afraid that everything I held dear would be destroyed. I thought I could control it, that I could do what was necessary and still protect you. But fear is stronger than even the strongest heart." Boruto pressed the paper against his chest, as if feeling her heartbeat through the ink. "I hated you for being afraid," he muttered. "I thought you were cruel. But you were scared. You were scared of losing Dad, scared for us, and it killed you inside." Quote. The letter continued. "Greater than, I wanted to tell him the truth, but I couldn't. I was ashamed. Ashamed that my love could cause pain. Ashamed that my choices were not enough. Boruto, remember that even when I was broken, I loved you. All of you." Tears streamed down Boruto's face. "Mom," his voice cracked like shattered glass. "I understand now. I see you, I see everything. The night that changed everything." Boruto's mind drifted back to the night of the tragedy. He remembered returning home late, hearing whispers in the hall, seeing Hinata's shadow tremble in the candlelight. The fear in her eyes, the way she hesitated, he had thought it was anger, but now he understood. It had been desperation. She had chosen to carry a burden no one else could see, no one else could bear. She had tried to protect him from the pain she knew would come. Boruto's knees buckled as he relived the moment. Greater than Hinata, trembling. Naruto, unaware. The poison, the fear, the impossible decision, all converging in silence. He pressed his hands to his face. I blamed you for all the wrong reasons. And all this time, it wasn't hate. It was fear. It was love. Forgiveness and pain." He sank to the floor, the letters clutched to his chest. "I forgive you, Mom," he whispered through his tears. "I forgive you for the pain. I forgive you for the mistakes. I forgive you for leaving me, though I wish you hadn't." The wind stirred through the open window, brushing his hair softly. It felt like her presence, a whisper in the night. "Greater than, Boruto, live, for us. Carry our love, not our pain." He nodded, trembling, as if the words were a lifeline thrown across the void of grief. For the first time since her death, Boruto felt a fraction of release, not healing, not closure, but a faint path toward understanding. Himawari's presence. The next morning, Himawari found Boruto asleep on the floor of his room, letters scattered around him. She knelt quietly beside him, brushing his hair from his face. "Boruto, wake up," she whispered. "Mom, she's proud of you." He stirred, groaning softly. I just want to see them again, even if it's just in dreams." Himawari placed a hand on his shoulder. "We carry them inside us. That's how we see them. That's how they guide us." Boruto's eyes filled with tears, but this time there was a strange warmth mixed with the grief. "Carry them, inside us," he repeated softly. I'll try. A new dawn. Days passed. Boruto began to leave the house more often, visiting the grave, reading the letters, sitting quietly where Hinata had once trained him in chakra control. He began to speak softly to her memory, telling her about his day, about small victories, about Himawari. The grief was still there, heavy and unyielding, but it no longer threatened to crush him completely. Instead, it became a companion, a painful reminder of love lost, of mistakes made, and of lessons learned. Boruto whispered to the wind one evening, standing under the sakura tree at the grave. I will carry your love, always. Not just the sorrow, but the light too. I will live, for you both. The petals fell softly around him, as if acknowledging his vow. And for the first time in months, Boruto felt a faint spark of peace, fragile, fleeting, but real. The sun rose slowly over Konoha, spilling gold across the rooftops and streets. Birds chirped as if nothing had changed, yet for Boruto, the world felt altered forever. Every step he took carried the weight of memories, letters, and the unspoken love of two people who had given him everything, and left him with the scars of loss. He stood at the memorial again, the cracked ramen bowl carefully placed at Naruto and Hinata's feet. Around him, petals drifted in the morning breeze, carrying with them the faint scent of lavender and cherry blossoms, a whisper of the home he would never truly return to. Boruto knelt, folding his hands over the letters and scrolls. His chest ached, his eyes burned, but he finally allowed himself to speak aloud, to release the torrent of emotions he had carried silently for weeks. I understand now, everything, he said, voice trembling. Mom, Dad, I forgive you. I forgive you for the fear, for the pain, for leaving me with memories instead of guidance. I forgive you, because I know you loved me, even when the world made you afraid. Even when it made you make impossible choices. Quote, the wind stirred around him, the petals swirling like the voices of his parents whispering in response. He closed his eyes, imagining Hinata's gentle smile, Naruto's protective laugh, the warmth that had once filled every corner of his childhood. Greater than life, Boruto, for us. Carry our love, not our pain. He repeated the words, letting them sink deep into his soul. I promise I will. The weight of memory. For hours, Boruto sat there, letting the grief wash over him and slowly settle into something quieter, something that could be carried rather than consumed by. The letters were no longer just paper, they were voices, memories, and confessions. He traced each word, felt each emotion, and for the first time, realized that even in tragedy, there could be understanding. He thought of Hinata's last night, her fear, her courage, the silent sacrifices no one had ever known. He thought of Naruto's unwavering love, the way he had always protected him even in the smallest gestures. Boruto pressed the letters to his chest. I carry you, in every heartbeat. Every step I take, every choice I make, I carry you. Even Himawari, quiet and steady beside him, reflected that same understanding. She had learned that grief was not meant to vanish but to guide, to shape, to connect him to the people they had lost. Greater than, Boruto, she whispered softly, we will be okay, as long as we remember them. Boruto nodded, holding her hand. Yes, we will be okay. Together. A promise to the future. As the sun climbed higher, Boruto rose. The grief was still there, sharp, painful, and unyielding. But beneath it lay something new, purpose. He would carry the memory of his parents, their love, their mistakes, and their courage. He would honor them, not through anger or bitterness, but through living. I will live for you, he whispered to the sky, to the petals, to the wind. I will carry your love, and make it mean something. The memorial was silent, but Boruto felt their presence everywhere. In the wind, in the petals, in the sun's warmth, and in the quiet spaces of the world they had once protected. And for the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of peace, fragile, fleeting, but real. He placed one final flower on the memorial, bowing deeply. I love you, always. And I will never forget. The village moved on, unaware of the small, private story of grief and forgiveness unfolding in the shadows. Boruto walked away slowly, carrying the letters, the memories, and the love of his parents, no longer broken, but forever changed. Greater than the tragedy would never leave him. But neither would the love that had shaped him. And in that, he found the strength to live. If you enjoy this fanfic, then please like and subscribe my channel Narutofix11 for more fanfic. Thank you.